Shalom. Am I there? Hello. Let's see. Oh, I'm here. Oh, good. Oh, yeah, I can vocalize. Woo! Good to see you guys. No rash. Yeah, Moki Girl, that's the miracle of makeup right there. See, Tony thinks I have this glow, but really it's what's showing through the makeup. Because I miss the professor so much. This is the assistant's job only when the professor is out for a time, but it's not where the assistant is comfortable. Oh, thank you so much, Bridget. Yes, we are all praying Alan as well. And you know what? That is the title of the live stream. Alan is doing great. He's always doing great. And we should be too. And, the last time he was out and I was in front of the camera for him, I did a teaching through the Father. Well, the Father used me. I'm nervous. I'm telling you, I have a rash. To teach how there is just no such thing as a catastrophe in a believer's life. There just isn't. It's not scripturally possible. Because, Romans 8:28, I hope y'all got the community post and studied up Romans 8:28. We know that all things work together for the good of those who love Elohim and are called according to his purpose. So if all things work together for good, then you can take your lists of good things in your life and bad things in your life and swish all the things on the bad list over to the good list, because that's what he says is the case. So if we trust him, then that's the case, and all things are good things. And I recommend, I will put a link in the Show More section to that study on how catastrophic thinking in a believer's life is crazy. It's believing a lie. It's whispering of demons that we're agreeing with. You're right, that's a catastrophe. And we've just got to allow the Ruach to wash our minds of that catastrophic thinking. But as I was going to teach on that today, the Ruach reminded me, he already had me do that. But this teaching takes it that much further to why we are great in our trials. Because if we're standing on the rock and we're in him, there's no place that we can be that's better, no matter what our circumstances. You think about Job, and when you see him in the Shamaim, call him Eov and see if he doesn't give you a great big hug for getting his name right. But anyway, Eov went through trial upon trial upon trial, tantamount to almost Mashiach. I mean, he took the worst, so that he could relate to all of us. That's what it teaches us in Hebrews. That's why Mashiach went through what he did, so he could relate to us as our friend, our chavar. But when you take a look at people who weren't divinity, like Eov, and you go to the study of Ruth, Alan talks about the kanaf. And the kanaf is our hem, a hem of authority. Boaz covered Ruth with his kanaf. And it's the portion. We're made righteous in Mashiach, and he hands us a white robe. And we keep our robes washed in the blood of the Lamb. We can't make ourselves righteous. But we're going to get into a little bit of the Bema seat. Thank you, Professor Nitpicky, for correcting our pronunciation on that. The Bema seat, where we're judged for our works in Mashiach or in the flesh. And back to the Kanaf and Yov. It's through our trials, not only are they good things for now, and they produce character, like Yaakov, James, chapter 1, one of those verses, it says that perseverance produces character, and that's great for now. But what is our we're going to take our character with us. The only thing lagging right now is our bodies of flesh. And when they're redeemed and we get our new ones, we take our whole living experience with us, our character it produced with us, and we use that at the level in the kingdom that Abba Father predestined us to be. So Yov's trials, when he went through those and he worshipped Yahweh, Yireh Yahweh, not your giants, what's happening is Malachim are taking the hem of your white robe handed to you, and they're embroidering your hem of authority that you will wear in the kingdom. So when you'll recognize Yov, his hem will go up to, mid-thigh with all the embroidery that went on in his life. And that's what's happening with Professor Allen. He is having his hem of authority embroidered up, up, up. I mean, I don't know how tall it's going to be, and he doesn't really either, but because, what we're going to be has not yet been revealed. But I know it's going to be beautiful. And that's not only do all things work for our good here, but the worse the trial, the worse the pain, and the more through it we stand on the rock, we stand through all things, stand on him, and we don't go through it in the flesh and yippity about all our problems and our troubles and get everybody to feel sorry for us. And if we're on the rock and we're trusting Abba one step at a time to direct our paths in righteousness, then that embroidery is going to be something to behold. And so not only do we rejoice in all things for now, we rejoice in all things for where we're going. That place in the kingdom with that authority. Whew, I can't imagine. I mean, and that brings me to the icing on this teaching that came to me really all day. I always get a little nervous that I'm like, Abba, it's 3 hours before the live stream. What if I can't remember? But he always dumps on me right at the moment I need to say something exactly what of all he'd given me you really need. So praise Abba. And now whatever it is that I thought you needed, you probably didn't, because I can't remember. Oh yeah, I know. The icing on this cake is that this surge in trial that I believe we're all experiencing, Alan to the hot hilt, but the whole mishpachah is saying, wow, I could relate to your last live stream. I just don't feel like yapping about my problems, but boy, they're at the hilt. I think it's another sign that we're there. I was reminded, I live near Boston. I went to school in Boston, so I'm really familiar with the Boston Marathon. Not personally familiar, mind you, but I know about Heartbreak Hill, and it's the last push. It's at the end of the marathon, and it's steep, and you really can't see the finish line from there, but when you hit Heartbreak Hill, you're almost to the end. And they call it Heartbreak Hill because people run the whole marathon and give up at Heartbreak Hill. They're right at the finish line and they quit. So I'm thinking we're all on Heartbreak Hill. Press on in him. He's your strength. It's not by our might or our power, but by his might and his power that we run to obtain the prize. And it's only when we really get taken over the finish line by Mashiach and he gives us our robes, we'll look down and no one's going to say, I wish I had an easier time. I wish I had an easier, trouble-free nefesh then. Because you'll see all the beautiful tapestry that was being woven at the hem of your garment forever. And all the Kodashim said, I'm looking at the chat so I look like a doofus. Amen. I've got Amen from Vanessa, my Echad sister, Echad Squad. Oh, there's some more. Oh, there's Patty and Camila and Dave, Debbie, Kaylee, Denise, Alex, Mark, Candace, Melissa, Lauren, Fred, Esther, Christine, Hans, Deborah, Donald, Eric. I'm reading as fast as I can. If I miss you, I'm so sorry. Stephanie, Roberto, Jan, Susan Chevelle, Ford, Tony, Bridget, Hazel. Love you guys. I mean, there's just so many of you. When I started reading the names, the last I knew there were 12 people watching. But Alan will read the chat at some point and see the rest. So let's just bow our hearts. Wow, 78. Thank you, Scott, for telling me. 78 people. Praise Abba. I hope you receive. Oh, I gotta do that. Show a message. Sometimes YouTube thinks that our transliteration of Hebrew is naughty, and it makes us review it and then show it. So anyway, I hope that made you laugh. So let's just bow our hearts before Abba Father and ask him to give us understanding and help us to renew our minds, because this can be a tough one. You know, we can't just ball up our list of bad things in our lives and throw it out, because I know from experience you can go into the trash, smooth it out, brush off the goop, and start writing things on the bad list again. So don't do that. Just light it on fire. Toss it. All right, so let's bow our hearts. Oh, dear precious Abba Father, we come before you in total humility and awe that you are powerful enough, more than powerful enough, to truly make all our experiences worth it forever in the kingdom. Father, give us that vision of what our lives, as much as we can wrap our minds around it, will be like in the kingdom. Help us to thank you immediately for our trials. When we're suffering, when we're feeling pain, when we are just thinking, oh my word, I can't take one more minute. Help us to envision Yov's robe and how beautiful it is, and for how much he suffered, and then picture our own white robe that was washed in the blood of the Lamb and embroidered as we gave our trials to you. Thank you for the strength to press on up Heartbreak Hill as we round the bend to the finish line, that you pick us up and put us over. You complete us, and you promised that the work you began in us, you will complete. We thank you. I thank you for every person in this mishpacha that you've entrusted to Alan and temporarily to little girl. We thank you, and we come to you in Yahweh, through Yeshua, with love. And all the Kodashim said, I hear you. Amen. All right, chavarim. I'll be in there chatting with you after I hit stop screaming. Shalom.